Have you ever sat across from him, smiling gently, your heart quietly breaking, as he speaks about another woman, with a spark in his eyes that you wish he reserved only for you? You nod. You laugh at the right moments, you act unfazed, but inside your soul aches with a silent question. Why not me? Not in desperation, but in confusion. In that slow, unbearable ache of not knowing what else you can possibly do to be seen, to be chosen, to be enough. You replay every interaction. You wonder if you were too much, too little, too kind, too available, too mysterious. You wonder if maybe, just maybe, if you could shift something, even just once. Maybe then he would look at you the way you look at him, with hunger, with reverence, with certainty. But what no one told you is this. You're not the only one feeling this. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious, that ancient emotional code women carry, passed silently from generation to generation. Be chosen, be wanted, be enough. We don't say it out loud, but deep down, we all know that haunting moment of being in a room with him, while feeling like we're competing with ghosts, with other women, with a version of ourselves we haven't yet become. And yet, what if I told you, there is a way to become unforgettable? Not by performing, not by pretending, but by understanding the exact emotional imprint that makes a man realize, she's not like the rest, she's the one. This video isn't about chasing, it's about remembering who you are beneath the self-doubt, what you hold that no one else can offer. At the one shift, the one moment where everything inside him changes, where all his options disappear in the light of the one woman who no longer begs to be chosen, because she finally chose herself. Stay with me. You're about to hear the words your heart has needed for a long time. There's a moment almost every woman knows, though few ever talk about it. It's quiet, it's lonely, it's filled with invisible comparisons. You're doing everything right, being soft, supportive, warm, and yet you can feel it. You're not the one he's choosing. Not fully, not completely, not in the way your heart craves. And it's not always obvious. Sometimes it's in how he takes a little longer to text back, or how his attention flickers when you're together, or how his eyes light up when he talks about someone else, in a way they don't when he talks about you. You tell yourself not to take it personally. You remind yourself to stay calm, stay in your feminine, not be needy. But inside something aches, deeply. That ache, it's not just about him. It's about something older, something hidden inside your emotional memory. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the part of us we try to ignore, the wounds we carry that were never fully felt, never seen, never loved. And for so many women, the shadow holds this belief. Love is something I must prove I'm worthy of. I have to work for it. I have to earn it. This wound isn't just yours. It's collective. It lives in the stories passed from mother to daughter, in the moments you saw someone else be chosen over you, not just in romance, but in friendship, in family, in life. And over time, you internalized the message. If I'm not being chosen, something must be wrong with me. So what do? We perform. We try to be perfect, interesting but not intimidating, independent but still emotionally available. We silence our needs. We shrink parts of ourselves just to fit into the version of us we think he wants. And yet, it never works. Because love that comes from self-abandonment only invites more abandonment. The more you betray your truth, the less magnetic you become. Because a woman who betrays herself vibrates at the frequency of fear, not desire. Here's what no one told you. He doesn't fall in love with the woman who tries the hardest. He falls in love with the woman who is most herself. The woman who doesn't need to be chosen, because she already knows she's the prize. But here's the twist. You don't get to that place through logic. You don't think your way into being magnetic. You heal your way into it. You confront the shadow. You meet the little girl inside who was once made to feel not enough. And you love her, fiercely, completely. You stop chasing approval and start building emotional sovereignty, the ability to stand in your truth even if he turns away. Because real power isn't in controlling how he feels, it's in controlling whether his absence shakes your identity. Projection, as Jung explained, is when we assign parts of ourselves to others. So often women project their worth onto men. If he wants me, I matter. If he loses interest, I'm unlovable. But when you see that clearly, when you take that projection back, you reclaim your soul. You stop looking to him as the source of your wholeness. And something miraculous happens. You shift the energy, not by begging or pleading, but by remembering you are the mirror. And when your mirror becomes clean, when it reflects radiance, wholeness, inner peace, he sees himself in a new way. And in that moment, the choice becomes easy, not because you forced it, but because you became the kind of woman a man can't forget, not because she chased him, but because she finally stopped chasing herself. He may have had 1,000 options, but none of them stood like you, grounded, whole, radiant, free. That's the woman who gets chosen, not once, but again and again, even when he didn't know why. And it starts with this one shift. It's not in him, in you. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to become the woman who awakens something deep in a man, something he didn't even know he was missing. You'll stop wondering, what am I doing wrong, and start seeing yourself through a lens of quiet, magnetic power. Because what most women don't realize is that connection isn't built on effort. It's built on energy, on presence, on understanding the secret dynamics that move beneath the surface of his words, his silence, his push-pull behavior. Carl Jung spoke of the anima, the inner feminine that lives inside every man. It's the part of him that longs for emotional intimacy but is often buried beneath layers of ego, defense mechanisms, and fear. Most men have spent years, if not decades, protecting this part of themselves. Why? Because vulnerability once brought them pain, rejection, shame. And so now they armor up, emotionally detaching, chasing freedom over closeness, logic over emotion. But here's what no one tells you. The right woman doesn't force him to open up. She invites him. She triggers his anima not by needing him, but by embodying herself so fully, so unapologetically, that his soul starts to remember something it forgot. The beauty of connection, the safety of being seen, the ache of unexpressed feeling. Most women have been taught to seek connection by chasing, explaining, or fixing. But that's the trap. Because what he responds to is polarity, emotional gravity, the kind of feminine depth that doesn't beg for love, it evokes it. In this video, you'll experience a shift from trying to be chosen to understanding how the feminine draws love to her, not through performance, but through truth. You'll learn how men retreat, not because you did something wrong, but because they're afraid of the very thing they crave, closeness. And you'll begin to see that his distance is not a rejection, it's a reflection of your power to trigger his deepest growth. This is more than advice, it's an emotional code, and once you understand it, everything changes. Not just in how he sees you, but in how you see yourself. I am sharing 4 strategies with you that will help you to form him to choose you. The first strategy is to mirror his energy, not his words. When a man becomes distant, inconsistent, or emotionally vague, the instinct may be to lean in, to ask, to explain, to try harder, but that only disrupts the balance of polarity. Instead, Mirror his energy like a still lake reflects the sky. If he pulls away, you pull inward. If he slows communication, you slow your response, not out of punishment, but out of presence. This gives his ego space to lower its defenses and gives his anima, the inner feminine, room to rise. According to Jung, the masculine ego often suppresses the anima when threatened, but when a woman mirrors rather than pursues, he begins to feel safe enough to drop control. And in that space, curiosity returns. The man begins to chase not because you demanded attention, but because your silence created the mystery that reactivated his emotional longing. The second strategy is to speak through silence, not explanation. There is power in restraint. When you feel the urge to explain yourself, defend your value, or justify your feelings, pause, say less. Let your energy speak what words cannot. Jung believed that when we operate from our ego, we over-identify with control, logic, and fear of abandonment. But silence invites reflection, both yours and his. It becomes a mirror to his shadow, forcing him to confront the discomfort he's been projecting onto you. Your silence is not passive, it's spiritual. It says, I trust my worth enough not to convince you of it. This invites a man into his own process, to reckon with why he runs, why he fears intimacy, and whether he's ready to choose something real. The third strategy is to withdraw to create emotional clarity. Withdrawal isn't about playing games, it's about emotional hygiene. When you're constantly entangled in a dynamic where you're unsure of your place, it clouds your ability to see clearly. Jung's work shows us that unconscious patterns often drive us to repeat familiar wounds, chasing emotionally unavailable men, reenacting childhood abandonment, seeking worth through someone else's validation. Withdrawing gives you the emotional distance to see where you are choosing chaos over clarity, fantasy over truth, and paradoxically, it gives him a moment of discomfort. The space where he either rises to meet you or fades into his own avoidance. Either way, you win, because you reclaimed your power by choosing peace over pursuit. The fourth strategy is to live in your feminine, not in reaction. True feminine energy is not weak, it's magnetic. It doesn't beg, it beckons. It doesn't chase, it attracts. Living in your feminine means you no longer bend yourself around his moods or behavior. You reconnect to pleasure, presence, creativity, intuition. Jung's concept of individuation teaches that power comes from wholeness, from owning both light and shadow. When you live in your feminine truth, without apology or over-explaining, you activate something dormant in him, the part that longs for connection but is terrified of surrender. But he can't meet that part of himself unless you meet it in you first. When you stop reacting, he stops controlling. When you stop chasing, he starts wondering. And that's when the dynamic shifts, not because you manipulated anything, but because you finally embodied everything, he didn't know he was seeking. These strategies are not about playing a role, they're about remembering your value. Jungian psychology reminds us that what we project outward is often what we've yet to integrate within. So when you become the woman who no longer needs to be chosen to feel worthy, you become the woman every man instinctively wants to choose. Not because you tried to win him, but because you stopped needing to, and that changes everything. Of all the things you could do to get a man to choose you, the most powerful one isn't about proving yourself. It's not about being the prettiest woman in the room, the most available, the most understanding, or even the most perfect partner. The truth, the soul-shifting truth, is this. When you return to yourself, fully and unapologetically, you become magnetic in a way that no other woman can replicate, not because you're competing, but because you're no longer trying to. Do this just once, and he will feel something in you that none of the others can offer. A woman who doesn't need to be chosen to feel valuable is the most irresistible woman in the world. She's the one who can walk away and still be whole. She's the one who doesn't chase, doesn't perform, doesn't mold herself to fit into his unfinished story. she writes her own. Carl Jung taught that the work of a lifetime is individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, beneath all the roles and survival masks. When you start living from your center, instead of reacting from your wounds, you stop attracting love that is based on fear, projection, or illusion. You stop repeating the same cycles with emotionally unavailable men. You stop tolerating almost love because you finally know what real love feels like. It starts with you. When a woman breaks free from the unconscious patterns that tell her she has to earn love, prove her worth, or fix the brokenness in someone else just to feel safe, she becomes unshakable. And the man who is ready for something real, something deep, something that awakens his own soul, he will feel it. He may not understand it at first, it might confuse him, even scare him, but it will draw him in because you'll reflect back to him the part of himself he's forgotten, the part that's capable of depth, intimacy, and devotion. So let this truth settle into your bones. You don't need to do more. You just need to do this once. Step into your feminine power without apology. Own your silence. Live your joy. Create emotional distance when you feel disrespected. Let your energy teach him what your words no longer need to say. He'll feel it, he'll recognize it, and if he's meant for you, he'll choose you. Even if he has 1,000 other options, he'll know none of them are you. Because when you finally choose yourself, the right one doesn't feel like a prize, he feels like a reflection. And if this message touched you, subscribe, tell me in the comments, what part spoke to you most? And please, share this with a woman who's forgetting how powerful she is. Let's remind her. Let's remind you. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not too emotional. You are a mirror of the divine feminine in a world still learning how to hold her. Keep shining. You're not here to be chosen like an option. You are the answer, the light, the one